Let's just talk to the management. The management is now joining us, Mr. Himanshu Gupta, MD at S. Chand & Company. Mr. Gupta, if you could just introduce the company for our viewers. It's a very old brand. It's an 80-year-old publishing company. And finally, you are coming to the markets?
Sure. Thank you so much for making me join NDTV Profit. S. Chand is almost now 78 years old, as you had just said. And it has got more than around 12,000 titles under its basket. It was started by my grandfather, late Shri Shamlal Gupta. I'm the third generation from the family side in this business. We have got close to 2,000 author relationships. Around 45 million books we sold in FY16. And we have close to a group revenue of around 665 consolidated in FY16. And we have all India, pan-India network with 52 branches all over the country with around close to 3,500 to 4,000 people working with the group. And we have been continuously doing work to improve the quality of education in the country for last almost 8 decades.
Right. Can you just tell us what sort of content do you publish and what is the growth rate in some of these businesses that you're looking at?
So content we publish is mainly educational content. We mainly do educational content from K-12 to higher education to even early learning. K-12 is the largest segment. K-12 gives us close to 73% of the revenue with the new acquisition that we have made. The higher education is around 24% and the rest of 3% is the early learning business. K-12 comprises of school books primarily, and school books we have been doing from a long time. Like school books are very famous, like Renin Martin English Grammar, Lakshmi Singh, which are quite famous books in school education. Plus we have books in higher education, like in college we have Thareja, in engineering we have Shukla and Grewal in accounts. These are some of the popular books there. So we have been in this business from a long time, and we have made 3 acquisitions. With the help of 3 acquisitions of namely Vikas and Madhuban, Saraswati, and now Chaya Prakashani, which is a company based in West Bengal. We have been growing at a consolidated CAGR of around 40%. And in the school business primarily we have been growing at 57% over a period of FY12 to FY16.
Right. In terms of strong distribution, how does that help, say, if the content is now changing? Do you think you can capitalize on it much better than some of your competitors?
So content, we keep on reviewing and updating content on a regular basis, depending on book to book. Contents gets reviewed and updated depending on a yearly basis, maybe once in 2 years. It depends on the product that we are selling. And we have a large distribution network. We also have back-end integrated facilities in terms of our printing and logistics, which helps us make sure that the books are distributed on time and to the right customer. Because the season of school books in India, as you know, in the CBSE and especially ICSE markets is quite short, the window of opportunity. So it's only a 2.5 months window starting from January 15th and ending in close to March end or early April. So you have a short window, so you have to make sure the books are available on time, logistically, and printing also helps us to make sure with the distribution network we have.
Right. Can you just tell us that one of the strengths, as per one of the analysts who's covering or written about the IPO, is that you have good relationship with the authors, or pool of renewed authors is very strong. Can you just explain that for us? What does that mean?
Sure. We have around 2,000 authors which we have a relationship with, which have been working for us. Some of the authors have been working for many decades. Some I know have been working for the last 50 or 60 years. As per our understanding, no key author in the company or in the group has left us in the last almost 8 decades of the company. We have good relationship with them, as not only having family relationship, but business relationships as well. We make sure the books are sold all over the country. We do justice with their books, and we pay them the royalty fairly and on time as per agreement with those authors. So those authors have been have a sticky relationship with publishers like us.
Right. So about top 20 authors would contribute the significant chunk of your sales?
Yeah, so top 20 authors, but they constitute close to 200 to 300 products as well. So one author does not write only one book. One good author might write 10, 15 books per author on an average. So if you see the top 20 authors, they are writing around 200 to 300 books of the company, and they will have a substantial part of the sale. That's a part of business because mainly the books which are bestsellers are where the company makes more profits. So basically these top 20 authors are the people who are giving us close to, I would say, 45 to 50% of the total revenue, but making around 200 to 300 products.
Right. You also have a lot of brands. So, you have a good number of brands. Don't you think that if you consolidate them into one, it will be better? Or
Right.
is having more brands a plan of strategy to cater to different kind of students that you're looking at?
So it's more of a strategy. We don't want to consolidate brand because every brand is known for its different products. Say, for example, S-Chand is more known in the school market, especially for its maths and science and English grammar products. The brand Madhuban that we acquired is more known for their Hindi products. The brand that we have acquired recently, Chaya is more known in the West Bengal market for regional products. So we are doing this acquisition not because only of having the catalog list, but also having distribution network and also brand and also a sales network that these companies have. So we retain these companies as individual brands and as individual sales networks, and will continue to do so because they're more of a strategic fit rather than consolidating into one brand.
Right. Also, could you tell us about the nature of the business that you are in? Is it very seasonal in nature, like some of the other education businesses are?
Yes, it's very seasonal in nature. As I said earlier, from January to March quarter, the quarter 4, close to 80% of the total group sales comes in quarter 4. So that's why people, when they see the business numbers for 9 months, they see that the 9-month sales is not that much and there's a loss in the balance sheet. But in the quarter 4 is mainly 80% of the sales come through that. And that is how the business is done. It's more seasonal because the student goes to the new class in April and the student needs to buy the books before that, especially in CBSE and ICSE schools. So mainly the sales start happening after 15th of January and continues till end of March.
Right. Can you just tell us about the working capital requirement? You need a lot of working capital going into this strong season?
Because as per balance sheet, if you see the March numbers, because the quarter 4 is our main, I would say the main quarter which sells 80%. That's why the working capital in March, you will see at the end of March will be very high. But normally what happens is the channel partners start paying us from March until September of the next year. We normally get around 2/3 of our money, especially in the K-12 division. And there's also a bit of returns that come back from the schools. So normally schools order a little bit higher than what they require, and then they return back to us after July, after the school reopens. So there's adjustments of account. That's why there's a working capital. But if you normalize the working capital on an average working capital, including the new acquisition that we have made, it's close to 4.5 months. Right, 4.5 to 5 months. But it shows on the balance sheet because you're seeing the March ending balance sheet. So normally it is a heavy working capital, but the company is trying to reduce the working capital by making sure the over-the-counter products that the company has, we have a lower credit cycle. The credit cycle in the over-the-counter products is close to 60 to 90 days. But if you see the adoption books that we have, the prescription books we have, has a longer working capital cycle. So we are trying to reduce the working capital cycle, but the business trend is like that the cycle is a little longer in this kind of a business.
Right. Can you just tell us how are you coping up with the e-commerce business? More and more people are shifting towards not reading via books and reading via the new, new technology devices. Is there anything on that front that you're looking at?
Sure. As a matter of fact, we feel digital has been a disruptor, but digital has been an enabler. So a lot of our school books have got now digital content with them itself. So they have got, in terms of CD, they have got on apps, they have got QR codes. There's a lot of web support material for the teachers in terms of lesson plans, worksheets, assessments, test generators. So there's a lot of stuff that we are giving with the book. So it's not only purely a printed book. The printed book is coming with digital and web support, which is, I would say, close to 50% of our sales of the school books. And going forward in next 2 to 3 years, the company feels that the school business will have all the books which will come with some kind of a digital or web enablement. And in terms of our digital strategy, we already have some companies that we have invested in edtech spaces to make sure that they have strategic fit with the group. And we have also invested ourselves in companies in apps like My Study Gear. We have also invested in Smart Class, a model. We have a company called DS Digital, which has a product called Destination Success. But in Smart Class, we are basically making sure that we give more of content and services, rather focus ourselves on hardware. So we are trying to give whatever we can best in terms of digital, which is a standalone, and also hybrid books that we call, which are a combination of print and web together.
Right. So thank you so much for taking out time for us. Always good to get a perspective from you.